They're purposefully leaving me out of their lives to punish me for a crime I did not commit.
No, it's
I am
that
guilty.
he had 4 wives. He's down to just one now.
Their mothers.
Hey, Ryder,
Well,
such a
Madison
scene on
actually
that.
called Janelle, saying Dad said he didn't love you.
I know, but couldn't you like reach out to her?
Every time I talk to her,
I don't really have
she's
time to explain
gossip
Robin's
about
eyebrows
this
to you
and
right
this
now.
and that. I'm
a very busy woman.
Janelle. On the contrary, it actually said that I love
Peter, because of the eyebrows.
That was created in the family that just sowed division.
Much more was
My
honestly
family
mad.
was killed by gossip.
People hate looking at crying women. Oh,
I'll be honest.
especially women.
I've spent a lot of
There's
time
evidence? Oh, she didn't hate other women. If they say they don't, they're lying.
in ways that
They're not people, Tom. They're just reality show flashbacks, far from human. Look, I've been judging them with the help of TLC for the last 15 years. I'm not going to stop now with your moralist dick measuring. Okay. Show is called Sister Wives because he had the 4 wives. Well, they didn't know 3 wives were going to leave him during the course of production. I mean, they probably should have sued, but they didn't know. Come on, the show's been on for, what, 19 seasons? They can't change the title now because some fairly notable comedian in Indiana has some notes. Hey, focus on the notable and not the barely, please. Tom, I'm under full redial assault here. Can you please hold? Thank you. Mwah. Yes. I'm working. No, by all means, if it's an emergency. No need for me to write any jokes this week. They usually prefer that from the women on the staff. What? How? Well, it absolutely does matter. Well, I do need to know. Well, firstly, because I want to know, and secondly, because I deserve to know. I deserve to know because it's my mom. Right, yep, which makes her your daughter, which is infinitely more important to point out right now before telling me how my mom just died. I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. Can you stop making me apologize? Well, it was a sincere apology. The first one. I am upset. What do you mean I don't sound upset? How should my upset be sounding to you? I'm not cold, I'm just not crying. Well, to be fair, neither are you, so, credit where credit's due. And I have an emotional shutdown from the best. No, Grandma, no, I didn't actually expect you to assume credit as being the best at anything. I said I was sorry. Will you please just stop? Stop. Can we please just get back to how and when? Tonight. Expected. Okay. Expected, right. Hold on. No, hold on. Well, I can't afford that. Can we just talk? I'm just saying that a box might cost less than $12,000. I'm not going to sign a contract promising to pay that back to you. Because I don't have it, and I won't have it anytime soon. I don't care if it's notarized fingertip. what's next? Yeah. Hold the fuck on. You keep saying the word invited. What do you mean invited? Well, I don't need an invitation. It's not really your decision to make. Of course I'm gonna be there. You know what, can you just tell me the name of the funeral home like a normal grandmother would? Tell me what funeral home immediately. What time? I asked what time. What fucking time? Thank you. Hey, Tom, can I call you back? My mom just died. I'm not particularly close to my family. I am more intimately involved. See, closeness implies a certain positivity that my family ties have always been lacking. I'm more bound by some pulling within my DNA that's been nurtured by generations of Catholic guilt and strengthened in fires of a belief system that I don't think I ever really believed in. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, I am gonna do the whole hour. Female comedians rarely get this opportunity, and my mom just died, so I don't mind if I do.
Yes.
Good job. Thank you. She gets that. You know, I have the same freaking pinky fingers as my mother. She would always point that out to anybody if it was even suggested that we did not look much alike. No. Same hands down to the pinkies. She would put her hand alongside mine and point out the uncanny resemblance to strangers when necessary. You'd be surprised at how often the visible passage of DNA becomes necessary. When you don't have a lot to go on in your parent relationships, you start clinging to the inescapables of DNA and genetics that force that parent-child bond, where there would perhaps not be one otherwise, if not for those flimsy, similar characteristics. You know, you have your mother's eyes, smile, crooked pinky fingers. The bits even become played out, you know? Like, the father bit is casual absenteeism, traditionally, right? And the mother gets to hate fuck us right up. You know I'm right. That's why it's such a cliche. I mean, we even personified the planet as our Mother Earth so that we could disappoint two supreme beings as we flail through each new personal horror life presents. But see, problem is that for every kid who is finding connection with their parent through, say, a shared love of dance, there is one like me clinging to crooked pinky fingers for connection. And like, fuck, man, what if that's all you really got, you know? Like, what kind of culturally normal crutches do you get to hold yourself up with when the parent that you barely knew, that barely knew you, dies? How do you mourn like you're supposed to? How do you comfort everybody else with a closure that you don't personally possess? Closure that you'll probably never possess, because what you had in common with your mother was crooked fucking fingers, right? Oh, man. I don't think I'm doing anything for the argument of women being funny. As anybody who's ever met me says, tone it down. But we don't have to rush the poignancy. I am known for taking my sweet time to get to a punchline. We have the whole hour. So go ahead. Go ahead. Pull the only woman on the stage off the bill for going even a minute over. Try it. In this industry, ladies, you gotta make a little space for yourself. Even if that space is just overstaying your welcomes, taking your full time. Hey, allow me to exposit for a minute. No, I'm kidding. That was a trick question. We actually have no choice but to exposit in our present situation. Tragically, sorry. I never had the proverbial building blocks that would have even allowed me to explore a real relationship with my mother. My perfectly Midwestern mother was pregnant the summer following her senior year of high school. With no real direction to speak of, and a mother of her own who has a concerning ability to force a direction upon you, spoken or no. If it was cute, it would be like, oh, grandma's a bit of a control freak kind of thing, but it wasn't really cute. It was abusive. Couldn't tell you that though. There's nowhere else to go. Nope. Okay. Even by age 7, I did not yet have a career outside of my robust commercial acting career that my grandmother had started setting up for me when I was old enough to start working in entertainment. So, 2.5. When concealed carry of an unborn infant was no longer an option for my mother, she was presented with a choice. I'm sure at the time the decision to come clean and raise her child in the same home that she was raised in, her mother's home, my grandmother's home, seemed reasonable, innocuous even. Innocuously reasonable. But being raised by not just one, but 2 women, and not in the fun, gay way, just created a lot of confusion for school administrators and activity administrators, and if we're being honest, my former self. I think sometimes situations are too specific to really grasp without the actual trauma of actual presence. So, unfortunately in this case, God, we just have no choice but to continue on with this excruciating exposition. See, this is why I spend all of my waking hours just sorting through all of the comical terrors that happen around us. Just whittling them down into tighter and tighter sets, making them more digestible for others and for myself. I think sometimes funny people are truly called to dedicate themselves to the art of making sense of the senseless. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to tip measure here. I just think most of us have gone through some kind of experience that would make for excellent comedy. But are you devoid of pride enough to do the personal work that allows others to laugh about it? That's the dedication of a true comedian. I really think that people who identify as comedians are truly the most important first-line responders in today's mental health crisis. I mean, we are just up here doing the work, you know? Just glue that holds the whole fucking shebang together. You don't have to believe me. Watch Patch Adams. Come on, laughter is the best medicine. Hello? That's an adage backed by science, bitch. Changed my mind. Making people laugh by making sense of senseless is supposed to be what I do as a comedian, but I worry that I can pull it off in regard to my own mother. I mean, and I'm just grasping at loose ends here, just trying to tie up confused and guilty ties. I'm grasping for a solid 10 minutes here for a eulogy. Oh, yes, that funeral that I was barely invited to. It was decided that the eulogy was my territory. I'm milking limited material here. And honestly, my improv skills have always been lacking.
We walk around pretending we're all grown up. Hey, rich girls, what can you tell me?
Nailed it.
You're so sad, and that's all down. I'll tell you everything I know.
Thank you for coming, Tom. Nobody wants to go see their friend's improv show. I mean, nobody wants to see improv in general, so thank you. It's nice to hear a familiar laugh from the void, you know? Even if it is out of pity. Seriously, how did Jack the Jock over there manage to get a gun into every fucking scene? It's insufferable. Real jokes are written down, they are planned out, and you will not convince me otherwise. I'm just building the resume, and eventually maybe I won't have to spend my whole life sharing a stage with 3 other troubled persons doing my homework. Mom said she wanted to come. I told her she didn't, but she has poor judgment and kind of a loose understanding of the arts, so I don't know, maybe she did. Can I tell you, she started seeing this new guy. Bruce the pharmacist. He's got kids, young ones. I think that he's made it his own personal project, my and my mom's relationship, because he thinks that he's some kind of super dad. I'm pretty sure that it was his idea to make an appearance at the improv show. Bad judgment, or no, my mom wouldn't drive 2 hours for improv unprompted. So, Bruce is one of these meticulously salt-peppered, middle-aged white guys who just make appearances alone in a whole relationship, you know? I don't know. Maybe that's how you do it. Just get in and out, just make an appearance in each other's lives. Maybe that is how you do it without getting all dimmed up and individualized. So when you start getting close to people and they're intimate too much, that's when stuff gets messed up. The life just becomes a big tangle of Christmas lights that you can never untangle. You know what? Just throw them on the floor door, plug them in there. What's wrong with that? Anyway, when Grandma Dearest found out that Farmer Bruce might be privileged to Jack's quick draw wits without her, well, it became a whole thing. A whole thing that meant nobody would be able to come. Oh, except for you. Thank you. Mom and I don't really try to gather without the ringmaster anyway. It's not really worth it to try. I mean, I kind of thought that maybe things would get better like once we stopped sharing a roof, but I think it's gotten worse. And just more negotiations, and just litters of phone calls. Stop laughing at me, Tom. You know what? This is just us having a conversation after a rousing night of improv. Okay. Jesus Christ, it really should be criminalized. Ooh, especially in the Midwest. Gives everyone the idea that they can take that second city class and move to Chicago, be the next Perlman or Belushi. Oh, me included, of course. Oh. Seriously though, you really should curb your uncomfortable laughter when I tell stories. I mean, own your laughter. Don't be uncomfortable in it. Even if you think that you are doing a flawless job at preserving everybody else's normal, you're not. So if you want to laugh, laugh. Oh. You want to hear a story?
Yes.
Yes.
When I was little, like really little, like 4 or 5, this new gas station opened up. I know, big deal. It was on the nice side of town too, so we would drive the extra 20 minutes out of our way to go to the new Shell on the north side, even though we live on the west side.
Gross.
So I rude. So the 3 of us are all going to go get hot cocos from this new automatic cappuccino machine, of course. And we roll up, and as my mom is paying, the gas station owner tells my grandmother that her daughters are very beautiful. And he attempts to pass along his phone number to my mother. People would always assume this about us, that my mom was my sister, like that. I mean, we rolled 3 deep everywhere, and I do mean it everywhere. Like, what makes the most sense to you, you know? So, my poor mother was basically trapped in like an all-female, all-white version of Driving Miss Daisy. And it worked about as well as the Hurricane Katrina tempest we did sophomore year. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Right. The point is, my mom never really had a job to speak of that I remember. So it was just day in, day out, chauffeuring the Middle American answer to Corraltville to and fro luxury gas stations. Anyway, back to the cocoa transaction. You will recall. We go to the counter with our cocos. Mom attempts to pay. The gas station owner, who attempts to pass along his digits to my mother, assumes that my mother is my sister, like so many before him. So Mom jumps right in to explain his error. No, no, no. See, she's my mother, my grandmother, her mother. 3 generations, all buying hot cocos and a decaf coffee. 20 minutes from home, same pinky finger. And this poor gas station owner just laughs off his error like we are a family of normal people. And never knew, I'm sure, the trouble that he had caused with essentially small talk. From the moment we were back in our boat of a Buick, we felt this tension of impending battle. For me, battle meant hiding in the soundscapes with my yellow Walkman or one of those awful Tiger handhelds. For my mom, though, it was unrelenting verbal onslaught. The phrase that struck through my Walkman the most was, "You live to make me look old." As if there were some shame in being a grandmother, or shame in being my mother's mother. I don't know. But I don't know, that's my grandmother, you know? She is a walking conflict of interest. Always wanting to be praised for living a catalog-worthy life and also completely willing to trick her own child to a beauty pageant. So we get out of the way home from the new show on the north side. And Grandma demands that we stop the car and tells my mom to get out and walk. Now, remember, home is 15 minutes away in a car with light traffic, and it's December in the middle of an ice storm. Just get out and walk. It took Mom over an hour to make it home, and I was so scared, but I couldn't say anything. So I just sat in my room, frozen and guilty, waiting to hear the front doorbell chime, but also kind of expecting to not. Just sitting there, compartmentalizing all the guilt that I felt as a child anytime something like this happened. I guess that story's not that funny. Shit, you guys, I am drunk. I am so sorry. Hey, what's traumatizing you today? Besides that improv? I'm up after the next 12 guys finish. That's something that only comedians and sex workers get to say on the regular. They do this open mic night back here every Wednesday. They have since I was in high school. I saw the best over 21 comedy when I was 17. I stopped going once I started writing for the Slightly Extra Late show. Look, don't overthink the title, okay? It's terrible. The writers were not consulted. Okay? I don't know why I stopped going, other than thinking that the bi-weekly writer's check had meant that I had made it enough to say, fuck you to this particular suburb of Indianapolis. The guy over there with clipboard knows me from high school. He squeezed in 5 minutes for me between a fat white guy with beer jokes and a conservative kid who does jokes about how you can't do jokes anymore. Really a prime placement for the why it never worked out for me, white woman, middle-aged stuff that I do. The crowd today appears to be the conservative kids' parents, 9 frat guys, and one table of exceedingly intoxicated bachelorettes partying without their assumed bride-to-be. Not really sure what happened there. What I am sure of, though, is that it will be a fun night. Laughter may not always come where you'd expect it to, but isn't that always the case? Yep. Always know the guy with the clipboard. Look at you all the prime slots like this, the 9:15 slot. Well, we used to call them play out. That's when everybody in the club gets up and makes their mass exodus to go home for the evening. Definitely know the clipboards, oh, especially in your hometown. Now, when the tragedy strikes and you have to go back home, you have something to do. I don't know what else anybody really would have expected me to do tonight. I haven't spent the night at my grandmother's where I was raised since the age of 17. I'm not about to open that night's trauma anytime soon, so here and there, killing time till 4:30 a.m. That's when the early bird check-in switches over at the Decent Hotel. So if you check in 1 minute after 4:30 a.m., you basically save the cost of a day. Okay. My friend Tom thinks I'm crazy. I know. He thinks I'm crazy only partially because of this, but my friend Tom didn't have a job right out of college doing timeshare presentations. So what does he know about cost-effective traveling? When we first met, Tom asked me why I love comedy so much. And little did he know, or no, maybe he did. I've had that answer locked and loaded since the moment I was old enough to lock and load. Comedy is a puzzle. It's an equation where you can rearrange all the trauma and all the scattered bits of crap that you've waded through to survive, and you can structure it into something that makes it make sense. Something that you can understand and edit and colorize and make so identifiable that a whole room full of strangers can all enjoy it at once.
Nice.
Comedy makes discomfort funny. It gives a purpose to the pain, you know? No matter how insurmountable. If you can make people laugh, you make it all make sense. So remember that the next time you go watch Dane cook. It's not all just silly voices and stealing other people's jokes. This shit's hard. Or it should be hard. People look at rooms like this and they just see layers and layers of cracking paint over crumbling brick walls. They see a beer and cum-stained sofa. That only 3 of 5 lights around the mirror work, the roach, the rats, the blood. They don't ever see the sacredness of the people who belong in spaces like these. They don't understand the healing that happens when we bear our wounds to the benefit of the public. It can be a pretty addictive way to cope if you're built for it. My mom drank. I think I can say at this point in the recital, for obvious reasons. I don't bring it up often, directly, because I think the cause is more interesting than the effect. But I bring it up now because I would think that the concept of addiction or having a crutch or distraction from everything in life would have provided her a window into my means of coping with what she always refused to refer to as abuse. But we would just argue. My life was an affront to her personally. time to stop all that comedy would be the only financial or life advice that I would ever receive in my adult life. So at some point I just kind of stopped expecting that I was going to be able to share this part of my life with them. And I don't know if you guys are still paying attention, and if not, I get it. I've done that at one-woman shows too. It's fine. But if you have not been paying attention, the comedy thing is kind of a big part of my life. And when all you have in common with these bad boys, well, you're not sharing most of who you are with your family, then there's really not much else to share. And if there's not much else to share, then there's not really much to miss when the relationship starts to fade. Oh, fuck you guys. I'm on Lexapro and my mom just died, so please excuse the trashy colored lenses here. We are in a sacred, funny place. I always come back to this one particularly awful first date that I went on. Particularly awful because I stayed with that guy for the next 7 years. I'm downfall and I commit. So that night, he, after one of my top shelf yarns, he says to me, "You have so many stories, and most of them are tragic." And while that was naively forward and extremely unpleasant to hear on a first date, it was also completely correct. I'm a comedian, after all. I mean, if I didn't have a veritable Pokedex of horrors to draw from, like, I would have to resort to what? Observational humor? Crowd work? Never. Nope. The more personal, private, painful the material, the better the punchline. That's it. Personal, private, painful, with 3 little P's that get you to the big P, which is... God damn it, you guys. Punchline! Thank you! One person is paying attention. That's why, this is why Second City never really called me to mentor class, because I should say shit like that. I rarely go. More and more I feel like that's kind of all I do. Ramble. Can't put 2 jokes together to save a set. I'm just grasping at the margin notes on my yellow legal pad. All my wit is out of arm's reach. You know, I used to struggle saying things without metaphors and punchlines. But in having to deal with this industry of death, directness has really become the only language. No one is trying to find a softer, more pleasant focus. I mean, fuck, even the Church of Choice wants their paycheck before they'll pray for your dead loved one, you know. But throughout this whole process of processing, I started to admire myself. I know that's a weird thing to get from your mom dying, but for me it's been so affirmatively true. Death is the ultimate clarity. It is the purest halting of action that there is, and it's universal. You know? For the first time in my life, it's actually become easy to make decisions. If you want to know where your strength lies, plan a funeral. I mean it. I wouldn't have been able to sleep even if I did get a rest for tonight. I mean, tomorrow morning, being the next of kin, planning his funeral. Well, I feel like it's going to be the proverbial lance with which to kill the dragon that has haunted me to this point in my life. The process has been moving fast, but it has opened up a personal floodgate of actualization. I worry that being forced to face the nurture sites that inform my nature is going to bring reality into such a horrifically staunch focus that I can't escape the very unfunny undertones of every one of my sets. Are my many stories like that one date so boldly ventured just tragedies? Will I ever be funny again? Was I ever really funny before? I've avoided confrontation with my grandmother because that's what my mother always asked of me. She would ask me tirelessly to forgive my grandmother. Because she didn't understand that while I had forgiven for me, that I was not about to lose more time to her selfish, rampant narcissism. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to continue to endure the behavior of the forgiven. It also doesn't mean that you have to continue to play nice with the thing that you and the deceased share. In our case, a mutual former abuser. Tomorrow, I get to be the one bossing my mother around. I get to make the decisions. I don't know much about who she was when she died, but I do know that I will give her a death with more dignity. I also know that my personal validation is going to take a back seat to the newfound freedom. My mother was the one whispering pleas and apologies to the self-made queen of our household. And she's dead. It wasn't recommended that I see her. Honestly, I don't remember the last time I saw her. Anyway, I came here today with a plan, believe it or not, that I had thought through and was not willing to compromise on. I think that a formal portrayal of this meeting is necessary to burden more people with. So we'll do it like this. Good morning, Indianapolis.
Hello.
Thank you. My name is Melanie Myers, and I'm here to plan a funeral. Okay, somber. Okay, that's fine. I'll admit, I was nervous jumping into. It is, after all, my first funeral, and as I say, you only get one mother's funeral, you know? So, lip sync for your life, or something like that. Now, while this is my first funeral, it is not the first time that I have planned and promoted an event nobody wants to attend. In both cases, I think that the concern of it not being very funny is probably true. Also, in both cases, it risks being way more cathartic for me than for you. I think that's okay, though. In this particular case, I mean, after all, it's my day. I'm like the bride here. So let's get that straight. And don't think that just because it's my first funeral that I'm going to be an easy target for bells and whistles and bullshit. As an arguably semi-successful comedian, I have had my share of retail second jobs. So between my expertise in sales and personal public horrors, I can spot an upsell. And I can fucking tell you this, the Catholic Church is out here upselling better than a fully flared waitress at a TGI Fridays. I am a writer on a show that airs at 1:15 a.m. on a fairly specific cable network. My budget is limited, is basically what I'm saying. Like, I don't even have TikTok money to work with. And yet, on this very day, in this case, the truly lowest cost option here, cremation, something that the Catholic Church changed its stance on in 1963, has not been mentioned yet. Something instilled 62 years ago will not be mentioned today unless I bring it up. There are 16 brochures on caskets and or coffin linings, pillows, and not a single one on cremation. If you choose cremation today, you are not supposed to feel good about it, you heretic poor. The only time in my life that I've ever really felt financially shamed is in religiously affiliated situations. Through, let's see, first through third grade, I was very happy attending a middle-class public school system. My grandmother, though, was not. And by fourth grade, I started attending Catholic school. Fourth grade was hard. I was not fiscally prepared. Those girls were over there collecting briars. I was still stuck on My Little Pony. It was tragic. Now, while the church claims preference for burial is because it emulates Christ's own death, implying that should we become buried, that we too shall be risen again? It also kind of feels like I'm back in fourth grade, not having the financial fortitude to pay my dues into the after-school activities, and now as an adult after lives. The church wants that big budget burial, make no mistake about it. And I don't think that it is purely because of a vested interest in your gradient. I mean, think about it. Embalming, upsell. Priest, upsell. Cantor, that is church for singer, usually not very good. Oh, also a pianist, also generally not very good. Upsell with matching upsell. Coffin, come on, you already know. I I mean, sure, the church will start you out at a nice mid-price option, just 12 grand. I don't know why I even bother being surprised by anything the church has done today. I mean, the Capital C Church will actually film your loved one's closed funeral service on 4K and put it on a fucking Blu-ray. Also an upsell, but so worth it. What with the memories, like, especially if you go open casket. On top of all the upselling though, even the base costs are far from a deal. The church will strongly suggest, for the good of the soul of your loved one, a Catholic funeral home, which is going to cost 3 times as much as any other funeral home in any given city. The Catholic funeral home will suggest a Catholic cemetery with a plot of designated dirt to put over your deceased loved one. I mean, all of these things all come with a cost that would not be there at a normal funeral home. I don't know if you know who I am or not, but I refuse to let the church pressure me into a sale because the brand is recognized from my youth. That shit only works on me with Nintendo. Not shitty religions that I was born into against my will. Let's be crystal. The church said in 1963 that cremation was perfectly acceptable. They can't just take it back when lighting up our loved ones becomes cheaper, faster, more popular, quite frankly, more eco-friendly. It is. Look it up. This is just another case of old men playing dress up, writing bad rules that the rest of us are all supposed to follow because they're incorrectly citing a book that's basically a 3,000-year-old group project. I can say with certainty that Jesus Christ never said anything about casket versus cremation. It just wasn't a consideration at the time. You guys, his crew stashed him in a cave, just wrapped in a towel, shoved a boulder in front of the entrance. Like, if I asked for the exact same burial plan that Christ got, like, the church would call the cops on me. That said, I do want it on record that when I go, I want the Jesus. Wrap me in a towel, toss me behind a boulder, I'll find my own way home. Once I figure out how to get the big rock out of here. Am I a true believer? No. I always felt like the teachings and the texts were just like what they're supposed to be, just stories. Good stories about one guy who is frankly dripping with plot armor. I mean, son of God. But I think that what we're supposed to take away from this original Mary Sue's life is lessons on how to live our life, not how to furnish death. What I find most alarming is that the people who are most openly religious are also the same people that really hate it the most when you argue counterpoints with logic. My grandmother hates it the most. And that's probably why I do it so much. But don't get me wrong, I don't want you to get the wrong idea about me, Indianapolis. Not everything I do is out of spite. Some things, yes. Some things, but not everything. The reason that I want cremation in this case is not because it's everything my grandmother wouldn't want, but because if I was asked to describe my mom in one word, it would have been trapped. And you know what? I was asked to describe my mom because I was asked to write the eulogy. My mother's life was spent trapped. And in death, I'd like to show her some freedom. She was claustrophobic. My mom, I don't really think that she would have even liked the idea of the box given the time to really think about it. I also don't think that she would have liked the idea of spending what she thought was a conscious eternity next to my grandmother under 6 feet of designated Catholic dirt. Whereas the box feels like just a continuation of the entrapment, cremation kind of feels like freedom. Besides, if we are to emulate this deity that we're supposed to want to be like, that's the Jesus Christ, remember, O man, that thou art dust, and unto dust thou shalt return. Boom, that's Genesis, fam! That shit's right at the beginning. You don't even have to read the whole thing. Really, it's not about the cost, though. If it were, I would be no better than the enemy. It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Like, whether or not I believe the doctor or not, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. My grandmother did her best manipulation fiscally. My mother was not incapable, but she never had a job to speak of. And that was done by a sheer masterclass of my grandmother just abusing power dynamics. What I'm saying is that I don't think Mom ever really chose her belief system. Much like I don't think that she ever really chose the addiction that killed her. When your parent is an unchecked wealthy widow who goes her whole life with an unchecked mental health diagnosis, and you graduate high school pregnant and penniless, I mean, that's not really a great cocktail to start out with, you know? My grandmother used her home and her money to manipulate my mother, and she is trying to now use what she calls help, alone, guilt into what a good daughter would do, to manipulate me now. But I'm a harder person than my mom was. And it's not gonna work. You know, I joke about how I didn't really know my mom, but that's not entirely true. I knew some things about her. First of all, she loved a deal. Loved it. She would skirt the upsell. She would be disappointed in me if I took the first offer, even if the first offer was the right denomination. Secondly, her 3 favorite things in the world were Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, Delilah on the radio, and visiting strip mall psychics. Only the legit ones. Only the legit ones. I think I could sell her on this idea of freedom by fire as being something more personalized than just a box out of a catalog. It was hard to talk to my mom at the end, but it wasn't possible. Every now and then we would find some common ground in the pregnant pauses of our conversations. Once she actually even suggested therapy. And I didn't ask at the time, but I understood. I think that we have earned these freedom fires. Her freedom from a body sick with liver failure. And me, freedom from duty to addiction's right hand in the murder of my mother, my grandmother. I said it. If anything, as a parent, is that the mother-daughter set has been bogarted by my grandmother for too long. And this morning, I feel like Mom wants to burn. And I think that maybe a nice place on the shelf could be the start of us getting to know each other a little better. She truly had no idea what I did for a living, who my partners were, what my general beliefs were. But even so, I would have liked to get to know my mother, and even more so, I would have liked to for her to get to know me. So I think that maybe with a place on the shelf, we can start that process of getting to know each other a little better. Lights, please. When I was younger, I was so concerned about how my parental relationships made me seem to others. I thought that getting to know me through actual presence in my life would have to come with ready-stocked judgment at my lack of normal parental bonds. But I realized that fear of judgment was really just housing my childhood guilt. I spent a lot of time as a child feeling guilty. Guilty because as a child I couldn't protect my mother from her mother. Guilt because as a teenager I couldn't convince my mom to leave her mother. And guilt because as an adult, I just distanced from her and her mother. I think in death, it's the guilt that come with complacency that cause the most pain. I didn't set out to distance. It wasn't a purposeful gorge that I carved out. It was a forced family heirloom, passed down from my mother's mother to my mother. And while now I thrust myself into states void of validation, like behind this very microphone, as a kid it was really fucking hard. Really fucking hard, Mom. Something crossed my mind as Tom was driving me and Mom back home from the funeral service. Comedy evolves with the times. The good stuff does anyway. A good comedian knows when it's time to retire the bits. And I think that it's time for me to retire my crooked pinky fingers. I can't wait to see what I'm going to be laughing at after burning Mom. Hey, Tom. Yeah, hang on. Come on. Good night, Indianapolis. Hey, Tom.
please move to the lobby so our performers can get ready for the next. And remember, there are 68 other acts. Which show you going to next?